You are standing in line at the supermarket. Nothing dramatic is happening. There's bread in your basket, milk, something easy for dinner because the day already took enough out of you. Then the card terminal stops working. Nobody screams, nobody runs, nobody acts like the world is ending. But your body starts doing the checklist before your thoughts have caught up. Do I have the physical card? Do I remember the PIN? Is there enough battery on my phone? Do I have another way to pay? Did I leave cash in the car? Can I still get food, get home, and get through the evening if the system does not work? That moment is small, but it says more about modern life than most speeches about innovation, because modern life keeps selling itself as smooth, frictionless, and convenient. But ordinary people are behaving as if life now has a security department, and somehow that department is you. It does not look dramatic from the outside. It looks like hesitation, a person waiting 3 extra seconds before approving a payment, someone ignoring an unknown number because the last call almost tricked their parent, a family creating a code word because even a familiar voice may not be proof anymore, a parent who used to think screen time was the issue, but now has to think about fake profiles, privacy settings, age checks, feeds, and what the algorithm pushes when nobody is watching. This is not one big collapse. It is 1,000 small pauses. And those pauses are not paranoia. They are adaptation. The OECD's 2026 Consumer Finance Risk Work points to scams and fraud as major risks for financial consumers. Not just strange emails, phishing, smishing, fake financial providers, fake payments, AI-assisted deception. That matters because the scam economy has moved closer to ordinary life. It is in phone calls. It is in text messages. It is in sponsored ads. It is in fake bank communication. It is in fake authority voices. It is in realistic synthetic content. People are not just changing what they believe about trust. They are changing what they do. They wait before approving a payment. They call the bank back through an official number. They ignore urgent messages. They ask a family member before using mid-ID. They stop being polite on the phone when something feels wrong. That last part is bigger than it sounds. A lot of ordinary decency used to depend on quick trust. You answered the phone. You listened when someone sounded official. You helped when someone sounded stressed. You assumed that a bank, a public authority, or a known company was what it claimed to be. Now that reflex can cost you money. Danish police have warned people directly that banks and authorities do not ask for mid-ID, PIN codes, CPR numbers, card details, or money transfers through random calls, texts, or emails. They do not come to your home to collect your card. That warning is practical. But it also marks a cultural shift. Citizens are being trained to interrupt authority, hang up, verify, refuse access. That is healthy, and it is also sad, because the burden does not land in a policy room. It lands in the hallway when your parent says someone from the bank called. It lands in the car when a delivery message looks real. It lands in the break room when a colleague says their account was emptied. It lands at the supermarket when your payment fails and you suddenly remember how much of your daily life depends on infrastructure you never see. Denmark got a very concrete reminder of that in May 2026, when a Nets outage caused widespread card payment problems. Around the same period, Denmark's National Bank described Denmark's card payment contingency setup. Adults with Danish-issued Dankort, MasterCard, or Visa cards can make offline payments in most nationwide grocery chains for at least a week during certain payment or internet outages. National Banking also recommends payment backups, physical cards, PIN codes, mobile payment options, and a small amount of cash. That advice is sensible. It is also another job. Because if a country needs payment contingency, payment is no longer just private convenience. It is civil infrastructure. And when households are told to keep backup cards, remember PINs, carry cash, and have more than one payment method, the household becomes part of the resilient system. That is where modern pressure hides, not in one huge demand. In small tasks that look reasonable when you separate them. Each task sounds small. Together, they become a private security protocol. For many men, this shows up as practical pressure, not as an identity story, not as a victim story, more like a quiet competence demand. You are supposed to understand the system, spot the scam, protect the money, have the backup, keep the family calm when something breaks. And if you fail, people may not say much, but the shame is waiting. you should have known. For many women, the same shift often shows up through family and relational administration. Again, not moral superiority, concrete behavior, checking children's apps, warning parents about fake bank calls, managing screenshots, following school messages, handling privacy settings, watching family group chats, noticing the small signal that something may be wrong. Because women still carry a lot of invisible family coordination in many homes, digital safety becomes another layer of care work. Not just keep everyone fed. Also, keep everyone verified. The sharp contrast is this. Public language still talks about digital life as access, freedom, innovation, and safety. Private behavior shows people building small defensive systems around their lives. The public story says, go digital, it is easier. The private routine says, carry the physical card, remember the PIN, keep cash, charge the phone, avoid unknown calls, verify the link, check the sender, ask twice before approving anything. Behavior is usually more honest than slogans. People may still say they like convenience, but their pocket tells another story. Backup card, power bank, family code word, password manager, bank alert, screenshot folder, call me before you transfer anything. That is not fear. That is modern judgment. BEUC, the European Consumer Organization, and 29 member organizations from 27 countries filed complaints against Meta, TikTok, and Google over financial scam ads. Their concern was that major platforms were not doing enough to address fraudulent financial advertising under the Digital Services Act. The platforms say they remove large amounts of scam content, and both things can be true. Platforms can remove millions of bad ads and still leave people exposed. Banks can stop many scams and still see victims lose life-changing amounts. Governments can build resilience and still push responsibility down into the home. Parents can protect children online and still be forced into more monitoring than they ever wanted. This is where the uncomfortable truth sits. It is no longer enough to be a good, open, trusting person. That is ugly to say because trust is part of human dignity. A society where everything must be verified can become colder, slower, and more suspicious. But professional deception has made quick trust expensive. A scammer does not need you to be stupid. They need you tired, rushed, worried, lonely, hopeful, distracted. That is most people on the wrong day. The FBI's 2025 Internet Crime Report shows the scale from the American side, with major cyber-enabled crime losses and AI-related fraud becoming part of the threat picture. The FBI has also warned about fake profiles, voice cloning, and synthetic content. That is the deeper behavioral shift. Even voice is no longer proof. Even video can be questioned. Even "I heard it was him" is becoming weaker as a standard of truth. So families create code words. Companies add extra verification. Older people are told to hang up, even if the caller sounds professional. Children are told not to trust official-looking messages. Adults learn that a familiar face in an ad may mean nothing. Reality has become something you have to confirm. The same pattern appears in children's online safety. Ofcom's research on children's media lives shows the double reality many parents already know. Online spaces can give children connection, but children also encounter harmful content, often through personalized feeds. That ruins the easy narratives on both sides. Social media is not only poison, it is also where children talk, laugh, belong, and pass time. But it is not only connection either. Harmful content is real. Algorithmic feeds can push children into material they are not ready to process. So governments reach for age restrictions and age verification. OECD has described how many countries are now considering social media age restrictions for children. The European Commission has pushed member states toward age verification tools intended to protect minors while preserving privacy. The goal is real, but this is where care can become control. If every solution to online harm becomes more identity checks, more access gates, and more proof demands, then adults inherit another daily burden. Prove who you are. Prove your age. Prove your legitimacy. Prove your right to enter. Children may need protection, but ordinary adults also need private space. Journalists, whistleblowers, vulnerable people, and ordinary citizens criticizing power may need anonymity or pseudonymity as self-protection, not as a way to escape responsibility. That is the line people feel but often struggle to phrase. We want children safer. We do not want every adult turned into a permanently verified profile. We want fewer scams. We do not want every normal transaction to feel like an interrogation. We want digital convenience. We do not want one outage, one stolen identity, or one fake call to knock over the whole day. This is the new discipline, not hustle culture, not productivity theater, not optimize your life. Something more ordinary and more serious. Can you pause before panic? Can you refuse access without guilt? Can you keep a backup without becoming paranoid? Can you protect your family without becoming controlling? Can you use technology without feeding every system more data than necessary? That is where everyday dignity lives now. Not in rejecting technology. That would be too easy. The answer is not to romanticize cash, paper, or some clean offline past that never really existed. The answer is to stop pretending every digital layer is progress just because it is faster. Fast is not the same as safe. Frictionless is not the same as human. Convenience is not the same as dignity. The modern household now has a quiet security protocol. It may not be written down, but it exists. Someone checks the bank app. Someone keeps an extra charger. Someone tells grandma not to trust callers. Someone reminds the kids not to click. Someone carries a physical card. Someone keeps a little cash. Someone knows the PIN. Someone says, "Wait, let's check first." That someone is usually tired. And that is the part the public conversation misses. It treats each new responsibility as small. One more app, one more warning, one more code, one more verification, one more backup, one more safety tip, one more thing parents should monitor, one more thing citizens should prepare for. But many small responsibility shifts become one big dignity struggle. The strongest angle is not that ordinary people are weak. They are not. The strongest angle is that ordinary people are being asked to absorb more system risk into private routines, then told this is simply what modern life requires. A better direction is possible, not softer. Clearer, platforms should carry more responsibility for scam infrastructure. Banks and payment systems should be robust, without assuming perfect citizen behavior. Government should protect children without normalizing unnecessary identity exposure for everyone. And ordinary people should be allowed to practice digital self-protection without being treated as paranoid, backward, or difficult. That is how we reclaim dignity here. Not by pretending trust is dead, not by becoming suspicious of everyone, but by taking back the pause, the right to slow down, the right to verify, the right to refuse access, the right to keep a backup, the right to say, "No, this system does not get to rush me." Because the future does not belong to the person who clicks fastest. It belongs to the person who can stop for 3 seconds, read the room, protect the boundary, and still keep moving. That is not fear. That is modern judgment. And right now, modern judgment looks a lot like keeping your physical card in your pocket, your phone charged, your trust earned, and your dignity intact.